fought the rest, now try the best!
So look, we have another thing from Reddit. This is where we get into the big boys. Why is Tekken in the state? Bandai Namco Studio has been in the red for almost 2 years. The actual developers of Tekken 8 are Bandai Namco Studios BNS. They are not the same as the publisher. Bandai Namco Entertainment BNE, this is important. Last year it was reported that BNS was in the red, losing $25 million. Wait. So Tekken 8, which is Tekken Project, is BNS Studios, and BNS Studios is losing last year $20 million. So let's look at this news article. Bandai Namco Studios, developer of Tekken 8, sees negative annual income for the first time since founding. Oh wow, since founding? This is why Bandai Namco did not say that Tekken was a success on their financial report. Yeah, according to Bandai Namco Studios' financial report for the fiscal year ending in March 2024, the company saw losses of 3.983 billion yen, approximately $25 million, resulting in an annual deficit. Bandai Namco Studios is wholly owned subsidiary of Bandai Namco Entertainment that specializes in planning and development video games for home console, PC, mobile, arcades. The developer's recent title includes Tekken 8, Blue Protocol. So I don't know if you could put all of this on, but the fact that these two studios are together is crazy, because we usually think of Blue Protocol as being something totally separate, but this actually comes from the same exact studio as the Tekken 8. That's insane. Okay, let's go back to this. Several months later, it was reported that they were cutting staff, Japanese firings, 200 developers, and 100 resigning. All this stuff is really coming full circle. We're starting to learn so much about what's happening. Bandai Namco has reportedly canceled several titles and is cutting its workforce. I never knew before that Bandai Namco Studios were Tekken. This here where it says they reportedly moved 200 workers to such rooms, leading to almost 100 resignations. This is probably Tekken 8's fault? Well, not necessarily. Blue Protocol, which Bandai Namco made the decision to invest a lot of money into Blue Protocol. The same way Sony made the decision to invest 200 million into what's that one game that flopped back in like November? These company heads make that decisions, and the developers try to create the game. And it's not their fault that there's no market for these games. Bandai Namco themselves admitted that there's no market for these games, right? And so did Sony. So it's the people in charge who are trying to force these developers to make games that no one wants. And when it doesn't work out, they force the developers to resign. As you can see Dale saying in the chat, these guys don't want to leave, but they're forced to leave because they were involved in a project that lost a lot of money, and now that project is being shut down. And Japanese law is pretty different. They can't just fire people. They have to make the job so unbearable to where you decide to quit. This has also resulted in several games being canceled, including one from Nintendo, which would have been huge for the studio. Okay, let's see, what game is this? Bandai Namco reportedly cancels Nintendo commission project. Wow. What the Nintendo project is, we don't know, but Bandai Namco has previously worked with Nintendo multiple times over the years, helping with Smash Bros. We know Harada worked on Smash Bros. He helped them out, as well as Pokken. We know that Harada also helped them out with Pokken. What if they were making a new Pokken or a new Smash? Well, they probably are making a new Smash, but what if Bandai Namco was playing a role in that and it just didn't work out? Because you guys remember that now deleted Harada's bar interview where he was talking about how he's super stressed out and it's been a tough year, and people thought he was talking about Tekken 8, but he took it down and he said he wasn't at all talking about Tekken 8. He could be talking about this. That's the thing. It's like not all of this stuff ties into Tekken 8, but it all ties into Tekken 8 because it's all connected to Bandai Namco and Tekken 8, the resources. And now just 2 weeks ago, it was reported that while their deficit has been lowered, they're still operating in the red. Okay, now let's see this one. Hey, Tekken players, bro, are doing serious work, bro. Bandai Namco Studios significantly lowers last year's large-scale deficit. Tekken 8 developer Bandai Namco Studios is still in the red, but it has managed to bring down the deficit significantly. Tekken 8 developer Bandai Namco Studios recently reported its financial results for the fiscal year ending in March 2025, which, as reported by GameBiz, showed a final deficit of 8.1 million yen, which is over 8.5 million USD. While they're still in the red, it's remarkable improvement over the company's previous fiscal year, and in March 2024, which resulted in them losing 27 million USD. Bandai Namco Studio has been profitable for each fiscal year period since its founding up until 2024. Large-scale losses occurred in a year, so basically this is when they talk about Blue Protocol and such. They are trying to fight back, but following several changes within Bandai Namco Studios, its parent company, Bandai Namco Holding, such as reduction of staff to studios, seems to be recovering financially. In the meantime, Bandai Namco Studios is continuing its work in-house game engine based on in-house game engine. I don't like the sound of that. Not because I don't want them to create a new engine, but because if they do successfully get this engine off the ground, then they will probably force Tekken to use this new engine when working on Tekken 9. And then we will be in the same situation all over again, where all of this customization, all of this character work, all of these stages now either will have to be made from scratch or ported over. And we know with Tekken 7, even switching from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5 with Tekken 8, we know how much of a struggle it was for them to port stuff and to recreate stuff. And for them to do that for a fourth time with Tekken 9 would be terrible. At least make Tekken 9 on Unreal Engine 5, so that way you can carry over a lot of stuff from Tekken 8. But if you want to do Tag 3, because that's the game that would come after Tekken 9, if you want to do Tag 3 on a new engine, go ahead. But all of the resources that you're building over this game's life cycle needs to be carried over. I try to stress this a lot because it's true. The reason why we're losing so much customization is because they keep switching engines. Bandai Namco Studios seems to already be training new staff on how to use the new proprietary game engine. Oh, I did see this picture. What games do they even use that engine for? Well, I think they're just trying to get the engine up and running before they actually use it. I think it's safe to assume that their financial woes have directly impacted Tekken 8. No, this isn't a post where I'm claiming they have nameless studios executives are responsible and they're picking on the innocent developers. That's not the point. The point is the studio is very clearly running low on manpower. The evidence is in what we have gotten. Bad updates, no testing done, etc. And then of course is the actual content. T-shirt, JPEGs, hair strands, and repurposed costumes. That all screams low budget and probably not a lot of developers properly support Tekken 8. Let's be responsible. The developers couldn't have looked at a Taylor collab and say, yeah, this is good. Well, you see, this is pretty interesting because isn't this a similar situation to Street Fighter 4 and 5? Street Fighter 4 is credited with revitalizing fighting games, and then that game was a huge success. And then 5 was this horribly budgeted, managed game. And I was asking the question of how did that happen? How did Street Fighter 4 succeed and then the next game fail? And that's because the company in between those two games was messing around with the funds, not like they were just misusing it. They were just wasting it. And you can argue a similar thing has happened with Tekken 7. Tekken 7 was able to acquire all of this success and make Tekken mainstream. But then in between Tekken 7 and Tekken 8, you had a horribly managed project, which is Blue Protocol, and a lot of other things that they've been doing, canceled games, reduction of staff, and a lot of this stuff isn't the fault of Tekken, but Tekken is directly affected by it. That would make everything make sense. It's not just the greedy executives. They are greedy because they hugely gambled on Blue Protocol and that was going to be their cash cow. But this is the reality where it didn't pan out. Time reveals all. It's very important to note that their deficit went from 25 million to 5 million. Tekken 8 is their only active game on the market right now. Seems that Tekken 8 sales or possibly DLC really helped their losses. This is also probably why the developers really stressed. With this being their only game on the market, this is the only game that they can make money from. So they have a huge incentive to listen to the players and react to the players, but also with the reduction of staff, they can't just immediately switch. But they also were able to cut down their deficit by 20 mil. I would say this would bode well for Season 3. Tekken 8 is indeed making the money. They would keep pursuing the path. Unfortunately, the poor quality of the game, they probably killed the goodwill of the fans and put off newcomers so that the money might start dwindling. Also, it needs to be said, no Bandai Namco Entertainment, the publishers, are not in this predicament. With Elden Ring, Dragon Ball Sparking, they have been doing fantastically, but those games have no impact on Bandai Namco Studios. The fact that this is their only game on the market pretty much confirms Season 3, especially when you talk about how DLC sales is helping them, and you also talk about how they cut that deficit down. They're going to do it. And then also, if you talk about what they can do in Season 3, if they do what they did with Fakamram for Armor King for the final character, and then they put Miguel, Bob, Julia, and a guest character in Season 3, that's a banger of a year. This literally could be the start of the best time ever for Tekken. It doesn't seem like it, but just the way that this Fakamram update went, if it continues, come on, bro.